Want to master that sharp professional jacket look? In today's video, I will show you step by step how to draft a classic notched collar, perfect for blazers and tailored styles. Whether you're a beginner or you're brushing up your skills, this guide is for you. So let's get started. Alright, so I have already drawn 6 inches from the border of this part and 5 inches from this other part. Okay, 6 inches here and 5 inches the other side. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and measure up the length of the jacket. I'll be using 28 inches for the length. So I'll measure 28 inches across like so. And I'll square a line. So the next thing is I'm going to draft both the front and the back block together. So I'll be using the biggest part of our measurement, which is the hip. The hip is 48 inches, so I added 1 inch for ease. That's 29. So 49 rather divided by 2 is 24.5. So I'll mark 24.5 like so up to the end, after which I'll square it up. Next, I'm going to divide this box into 2. Since it's 24.5, I'll be dividing into 2. That would be 12¼ which I'll go ahead and mark. And then I would square the line, separating the front from the back. So this is the back and this is the front. Alright, now the next thing for me to do is this is the center front, this is the center of the pattern, and this is center back. So the next thing for me to do, guys, her shoulder is 19 inches, so I'm adding 1 inch to it because it's a jacket. I don't want it to be too close to the shoulder, so that will make it 20, and when you divide it by 2, I will have 10. And I'll do the same for the back. Alright, now for the shoulder slope, for the front you come down by 1.5 inches, while for the back you come down by 1 inch. The next thing I'm going to do is to measure the neck width, which is 3 inches, and the neck depth 3 inches for the front. I'll go ahead and draw the neckline, joining the 2 points together, and I'll draw the shoulder slope like so. Now for the back, the neck width is 3 inches, the neck depth 1 inch, and I would draw the neck and the shoulder as well. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is to measure the bust point. The bust point for this model is 11 inches, so I'm marking 11 inches and I'm going to square it like so. If you notice, I only drew it for the front and not for the back. Now for the chest measurement, I will be dividing the bust 45 inches by 6, and whatever you get, you're going to add 1.5 inches and an extra 1 inch. Okay, so 45, you'll measure it from the top line, not from the shoulder slope. So what I got was actually 10 inches. That's 45 divided by 6 is 7.5 plus 1.5, which is 9, and plus additional 1 inch, which is 10. So that was what I got, and then you measure it all through the entire width of this pattern. All right, now this is the chest line. I won't be doing too much labeling so that we won't get confused, but just go ahead, go along with me. Now for the waist, her waist length is 18, so I would mark 18 all through to the back, and we'll simply square it. So now that we are done with our horizontal measurements, we're going to go ahead now to work on the chest and the back for the armhole. So I came up half of that place there, and I remarked the shoulder length, which is 10. Then you draw it up like so. Remember the midpoint there, you would come in by 1 inch for the front. Then now for the back, measure the same thing, the across shoulder, connect it straight up. Then along the midpoint, you mark it, and then you come in by ½ inch. Now for the bust is 45 divided by 4 is 11¼ I will mark 11¼ on both sides. Having done that, we can now complete our armhole, connecting the bust to the across chest and to the shoulder tip. I'll do likewise for the back. All right, moving on. For the front, along the bust line, this line here, the bust line, you measure the bust span, which is 8 divided by 2, and that gave me 4. So your bust span measurement divided by 2, you'll mark it from the center front and square it up to the bust point like so. Now along the waist, you simply measure. What I did was to take 5/8 on both sides. That's a total of 1¼ for the dart. Then I came down by 1 inch from the bust point. Then I came up by 2 inches from the hip line. So that is where, this is where the bust dart will start from, the waist dart rather, and it will end just 2 inches before the hip line. Okay, it's starting 1 inch after the bust and ending 2 inches before the hip. I hope you understand. If there's any question, please feel free to ask, and I would ensure that I answer every question. Now on the center back there, come in by 3/4 inch. Is to actually make the jacket to be more contoured at the back, and then we're going to connect it gradually towards the neck like so, and then towards 2 inches to the hem like so. Next, I'm going to measure 4 inches from that point, and I went back there to remeasure it to get a straight line. Okay, I hope you understand what I'm trying to do. Just pay rapt attention, you will get what I'm trying to do. Now along the waist, I took ½ inch on both sides, and I'm going to come down also by 1 inch. I don't want the dart to get up to the chest, to the back like so, and then we're connecting it like this. Remember, we are coming up by 2 inches. Our dart is not supposed to get to the hem, and I'll finish up the dart leg. All right, you can see our pattern is beginning to take some shape. So along the waist, I'm going to measure her waist. Her waist is 37 inches, that is 9¼ and then I'll add what I used for the dart, which was 1¼ I'll add it up. Okay, I'll do the same for the back, measuring from where that dart started from, 9¼ and I added 1 inch for the dart. So simply so for the hip, I measure the hip. The hip is 48 inches and I added 1 inch, remember, for ease. So that's 49 inches divided by 4 gave me 12¼ which I would measure on both sides, and then we're just going to go ahead and connect the points from the bust to the waist and to the hip for both the back and the front. So guys, this is the basic foundation for the jacket. It has been easy so far, right? Now for the jacket proper, I would like you to pay rapt attention, please. I'll be changing my pen so that you'll be seeing the changes that we're making to the foundation. Now I'm going to be taking 1 inch for the buttonhole allowance. For the button allowance, some people take 1.5 inches, some people take even 5/8, some people take 3/4, but 1 inch is fine by me. Now I'm going to just come at the waist there. Now for the shoulder, measure upwards 1 inch and connect it to the waist. I actually made the waist to be the break point. That's the point where the lapel is going to end. Okay, so from that shoulder to the break point, that is where the lapel is going to serve as the base for the lapel. Okay, why this is the break point, that's the place where our buttons will start from. I hope you understand. So the next thing, now we are going to fold this line. Gently fold the line, be careful so you don't rip your pattern sheets. So you fold the pattern paper along this line. Keep watching attentively, please. All right, so having folded it, I'm going to trace out this neck. You'll use your tracing wheel. You can also add a carbon paper if you have. It will make your tracing very visible. Okay, now when you trace part of this shoulder, just a little. All right, now I'll open it up. Because of the video, you won't be able to see the tracing, but if you're doing it on your own, you will definitely see the tracing. Now I'm going to redraw the tracing and also that part that I marked along the shoulder. All right, so this serves as a guide for what I'm about to do next. Just pay attention. Now from this point where we started the trace, I will extend it to draw how I want the lapel to look on the jacket. I'm actually drawing an indeterminate length. The length depends on your preference, okay? So next, I'm going to be connecting that point to my break point. Can you see? I'm connecting it to my break point. So you can see how the lapel will appear after it has been sewn. That is how it's going to look on the jacket. All right. Now along this curved line, this short line that I marked here, remember it was from the shoulder I traced that point. So measure 3/8 of an inch and kind of redraw the curve, redraw it to that new point and make it a straight line. Just extend it upward like so. Okay, Now I'm going to head to my back. Now what I'll do is to measure my back neck. What I have here is 3 3/8. Remember, we are measuring it to know what we'll use for our collar. Now from this point here, from that point that I marked that shoulder line, okay, you're going to mark now the 3 3/8. You'll mark it on that straight line, okay. After which you're just going to come inward like this. You come outward and mark 1/4 of an inch, and then connect it like so. It's like a kind of a small curve. It will form a small curve. That is because our back neck is not straight, it has a little curve. That is why we did it that way. And then just square out a line, straight line like so, okay. Now along this line, I mark 1 inch for the roll of the collar and 1 1/4 inch that would cover the collar. This is going to be the length of our collar. It's all together, I made it 2 1/4. So we keep measuring this 2 1/4 until we get to our shoulder, and then I've gone ahead to draw it. Sorry, it was off camera. I didn't know that the camera wasn't showing. Now measure 1 3/4 along this lapel, 1 3/4 of an inch, and then outward come out by 1 3/4 again. The first 1 3/4 I measured is where the collar will end on the lapel. Okay, now for the lapel, it all depends on your choice. You could make it rounded or you could make it peaked. It actually depends on your choice, okay. So I'll simply connect it to finish up the collar like so. All right, now this part here is going to be placed on fold. Next thing, I'm going to trace out the collar. If you've been watching to this point and you've not yet given this video a thumbs up, I'll really appreciate that you give this video a thumbs up. If you can like the video, comment, I would really appreciate. So guys, you can see that it's not looking visible to the camera. I'm going to redraw it for you to see what I traced. Now you can see that I also marked the shoulder, and this is traced on fold. I marked the that part I marked that is like a tiny line. It shows where the back neck will be. Now for the lapel, simply fold the pattern paper again. Simply fold it again. When folding, please always be careful so we don't rip the paper. Now we're going to trace just the lapel. We're tracing it so it will show on the other side of the paper. We are stopping at the break point. Now I'm going to be using the original blue pen I was using before to redraw the tracing so you can see the difference. You can see. So guys, this is our jacket. I'll be dropping a link on how to sew a jacket. If you stayed up to this point and you've learned something new, please give this video a thumbs up and invite your friends to watch. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.